she back on tour. She's a champion again. Yeah! The legend. Here's Shannon Pluhowsky. Incredible. What a moment for Shannon Pluhowsky.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is good to be back with you here as we begin things. Match number 3 officially on the bracket. It features Bryanna Coté and Missy Parkin. The 7 versus the 14. Higher seed got choice to start, 9 spare on the board for Bryanna Coté. It's been a little while, and I'm sure as many of you are aware at this point, as Missy breaks down the 2-8-10, there has been inclement weather, needless to say. So we appreciate you hanging in there. Thanks for all your patience. But we'll be bowling, and we are bowling. Match 3 right now. And if you haven't been in the chat, of course, and updating you, the viewer, we will have match number 4, which is Jordan Richard and Shannon Pluhowsky. That will take place following this match. There'll be a re-oil in between. That is the goal. We've had all kinds of stuff. Some leaking. Had a power outage 2 minutes into practice of this match. But we're back. We're good. If you're just joining us and perhaps kind of unfamiliar with the way the day began, it started with the roof, some minor leaking. That delayed our noon match, which is match number 1 and 2 as Parkin leaves the week 10 there. So 1 and 2 moved to 3 p.m. Eastern time. We were able to get that match. Kelly Kulik and Liz Colkin have advanced. It's the only, or those are the only matches that we have bowled to this point, and all because of the weather. The original schedule, of course, noon 3-6, altered to 3 and 6 with tonight's original 6 p.m. match moved to tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. The goal is to remain on that schedule. If we can complete 2 matches here tonight inside the Old Dominion building. Appreciate you tuning in. My name is Emil Williams Jr. The good news is we've got bonus bowling. All right, here is Bryanna Coté, tournament director, to Neil Milligan when she introduced Coté, talked about some of her highlights. Of course, won the Go Bowling 10K Challenge this season. It's the #1 seed at the Fountain Valley Open as well as the USBC Queens. And is second in both of those events, 4th at the Greater Harrisburg Open. Does own 1 PWBA title. It came at the Lexington Open in 2016. But from beginning to end, a season of Bree's career. A trip right here to the Tour Championship, back at it. So it's a little quiet, as you can tell. It's one thing about bowling is it doesn't matter what's happening before that, but like once competition starts, it's like back into bowling mode. But Linda, absolutely. Safety first. I mean, there were tornadoes in the area. You may or may not even see, on your local news, there may be some things that come about in regards to Richmond. Hopefully everyone in this area has been able to stay safe. Of course, the players took safety into account as Parkin leaves the 4-7 before even making the trip out for their match. For example, the Parkins and the Cotés having to wait till the weather allowed them to make the trip here to the Old Dominion building from the hotel, which is about a 15 to 20 minute drive. All right, Parkin takes care of business. This is a best of 5 match, best of 5. First to 3 wins, first to 3. We'll move on. Yes, 1 and 2, of course, simultaneous matches. It's as typical of what we would normally do, but because of the weather and that particular area of the roof, the damage from the leak perspective to take place near lane 2 on the approach, and so measures are taken for this match or these matches to conduct them on 3 and 4. Both matches, that is. And then following bowling, the good folks here at Richmond Raceway will kind of be back at it, kind of doing what they do and trying to make sure that everything is secure and insulated for tomorrow. So for all parties involved, appreciate everyone's help. Be sure to check the bracket. Should be able to find it in the event description. You can also check out, it is updated with the game scores if you're curious. Of course, Wednesday night TV finals as Coté dealing with a Greek church here. First open of the match from both parties. Tomorrow, again, as currently constructed, 9 a.m. Eastern Time will kick off competition, not noon. 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. All right, Coté coming off the open has the only strike and the only open between these two competitors. Looks like a good shot. And she trips a 4. Coté with the strike in the 5th frame. The B Parkin. Missy with the family has been a constant for Missy the 2018 season. Son DJ, husband Drew. Grandparents making the trip as they have many events this season. Nice shot. Parkin with the early advantage here in game number 1. Still upwards of 1,000 viewers tuning in, so we appreciate it. Nearly 4 figures in that department. 8:10 Eastern Time. We've got up against some Monday Night Football. Oh, great shot as Parkin wraps a 10-pin. Appreciate everyone. Aaron and Brandon and Brandon, Ashton. Thanks for tuning in. And the question is correct in regards to having everyone bowl simultaneously on this pair. And certainly in the interest of fairness, we've already had a couple matches in the books. And so you got to do what you can to keep it fair under the circumstances. But, of course, in certain situations, you have to do different things as well. So flexibility is important. And part of the reason the schedule is the way it is. So in case of emergency, things can be moved around. By the way, I had nothing to do with the scoreboard, but of course I said I would look into it. But big thanks to Cubic AMF for making some changes for us as the 4-10 falls for Coté, and she has herself a double here. Thanks to Aaron Smith. Aaron dropped an early story, by the way, about Missy and Drew and some other players. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to do so on PWBA.com. Rich Pogge checking in. All right, Coté looking to get first to a 3-bagger here. Looks good again. Made the move as well, looked like. And a 10-pin for Coté. Husband Randy is here. This event, as every event, essentially family-oriented, but also a lot to kind of take in when you get to the Tour Championship, especially the last 2 seasons, or I should say last season into this season as well, with the accompanying NASCAR races that kind of conjoined with the event, with the Tour Championship, Friday and Saturday. Racing, of course, just next door at the track. The players will be involved as well. That's a good question, Aaron. Right now, the forecast says there is rain. Wednesday looks a little better, but you know what? We'll take it how it comes. We've gotten to this point. We're bowling. That's about all we can ask for. Parkin, a little wide there. Looked like maybe missed it at the bottom. 2-pin for Missy. Most importantly for Parkin, has remained clean. Von Dunnett checking in. Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, there indeed are some positives. The internet, we've here, let me knock on the wood, no issues in that regard. Pattern is available. It is 40 feet. Actually, let me go ahead and you can check it on pwba.com/live, but give me a second. I'll go ahead and add that for you in the event description. Again, bonus bowling. In a sense, there'll be an additional match. Once this match is over, I'll have a better idea of obviously when it'll start. We'll have to re-oil the lanes. Probably won't take the stream down because that's not what we originally planned for, of course. Here is Parkin, 8th frame. Nice shot for Missy. All right, Missy takes that 1-pin advantage. She will finish the match first. Bryanna Coté. Last couple shots for Bree have looked very similar. Look good. And just quite haven't been able to get up the hill at the moment. All right, so I believe if you want to go ahead and just refresh, the lane condition link will appear in the event description. And you can check that out for yourself. Just like that, 1,100 viewers watching. As you come on board, I'll reset things for you if you're looking for a particular match, which if you looked at the original schedule, certainly it would be different. But the weather has pushed some things back. And Bryanna Coté and Missy Parkin have the floor. Interesting point someone made, but in regards to maybe what you're seeing on the screen, it is a little different probably than what you're used to seeing in the bowling center, because these are specially installed Cubica AMF lanes. They're actually a shade of white, so not as white obviously as the pins, but not what you'd normally see in a bowling center, of course, as well as the approaches. So that's actually probably what you're seeing. All right, spare made for Coté. Best she can do is shoot 202. Right now, Parkin, who has yet to double, working in that 190 range. Give a shout out to the local fans who didn't make their way to Richmond Raceway today to watch some great bowling. They have stuck it out as well. Appreciate their patience. Obviously, for a while there was nowhere to go, and it wasn't safe to leave the building. Parkin, bang, good shot. First double for Missy Parkin. Drew talked about Drew being, and Drew Jr. for that matter. Such great constants for Missy, along with her parents, Drew's parents. But then, of course, babies are always cute, and so DJ gets some love from all the players, of course. Now Parkin, 10th frame. I'd spare 9 would guarantee a win. Strike certainly would do it as well. And Parkin, as someone mentioned, certainly getting dialed in. Juice with the comment. The interesting note about the weather from my own personal perspective. Many of you know last year I missed the Tour Championship. A, I got married, and then B, on my honeymoon. The same week or the preceding few days. 10 pin for Parkin, but got enough to get the victory here in game number 1. We actually had to deal with Hurricane Irma in the Dominican Republic. And of course now this year, the remnants of Hurricane Florence. Of course, there was even talks, obviously wasn't sure the way things were going to end up if we were going to have to make any changes with the event due to Florence, but now getting some of the storm remnants. So I'm sorry if I brought this weather to the Tour Championship. Clearly I've got something going on with it. Missy getting lined up there, taking a look at a different ball, and officially in the books with 213. No problem, everyone. I'll update you once as we get done here with this, our game 1. That's a good ball change for Coté, checking things out also in the 10th frame with this one in the books. This is game 1. Right now, Bree is just dealing with, how to get the 10 out the best way possible. By the way, you're not tripping, just making some changes on the fly, seeing what they look like. Spare there for Coté. Trying to utilize, there's a running ticker at the bottom of the screen, 213-192. Missy takes game 1. But it keeps tally of who has won games and who has not, of course. So trying to be able to utilize that. We were able to earlier. Had the split screen, of course, with our simultaneous lanes, but don't want to take up too much space on the approach. But let me reset you here. Of course, this afternoon competition was supposed to kick off at noon. A little bit of a leaky roof. Postponed till 3. So matches 1 and 2 didn't get off the ground until 3 p.m. We were able to get through them. But while that was happening, while the match was taking place, or match is, 10 pin here for Parkin just fell off the shot just a bit. And she'll take a 10 pin there. While those matches were ongoing, the inclement weather really started to pick up in the Richmond area. And everything from storms to tornadoes. And because of which, there were players obviously looking to make their way from hotel to the venue. They could not do that, obviously. From the safety perspective, good spare for Parkin. And so we waited things out, obviously, until they were able to make it. Once they were here, all looked to be pretty well. And then all of a sudden, had a little more water coming from the roof. Things were looked at. The appropriate individuals met and determined that try to get 2 matches in on 1 pair. And of course, that would keep us on what is now our revised schedule. And then hopefully we'll get back to our original schedule tomorrow at noon. So blaming it on the rain, I'm with that. Blame it on the rain. All right, Coté takes care of the 7 pin. Missy Parkin leading 1-0. Coté has stuck with this ball that she was experimenting with in the 10th frame, and now another corner pin for Coté. It's been a match that's been free of opens for the most part. Coté at a Greek church in game number 1. And I believe that's been it. You guys know I'll sing a tune every now and then. That's what I do normally. I'm not saying I'm a singer, nor do I do karaoke, for those interested or wondering. All right, back-to-back 9 spare, 9 spare. And while we have a second, I'd like to get some expert analysis in regards to what's happening on the lanes from Rob Gottschall, who is here, and so we're fortunate enough to chat with him. We'll get Rob in 1 second as we watch Missy Parkin. And a 2.8. So let us welcome Rob from Ebonite International. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. We got some bowling. We're off and running, and that's really all we can ask for.
Yeah, we didn't know if we were quite going to get there today, but, we're going smooth here, using a pair of lanes, and we'll try to get as many matches done as we can tonight, these 2 matches.
Speaking of the pair of lanes, you've got Missy, of course, from your staff in particular, but Missy and Bree, what have you seen from the way both players have elected to kind of attack the lanes at this point?
Yeah, Bree started out playing both lanes kind of the same. She was using a lower flaring ball on both lanes. Missy had the lanes a little different. She had the right lane a little tighter in practice. Lane 3 she had much sharper off the break point. So on the right lane she chose to, she had a little bit of hold, so she went with a little cleaner veneer but a big core to get it kind of a little forward on the back. And then on the left lane she used a ball that was a little slower response and just trying to smooth it out. She got out of it pretty quick on the left lane and went to a bigger ball and just kind of rolled it a little more with her hand. She just made the ball change on the right lane, so now she's throwing the same ball on each lane. But yeah, Bree's also made a ball change. She balled up to a stronger ball, bigger core. So they're both in similar type balls right now. Missy's obviously playing a little bit further right than Bree. That was pretty close to the arrows. They're about the same. They're both right around 15 to 17 area.
Good shot there from Parkin. And so we saw earlier, and obviously in the format, 5 games, first to 3 wins. So, it could be a situation. If you lose early, you obviously kind of go through the tools and figure out the strategy and the game plan until you get, obviously, the right match and the things that you're looking for. It's hard to obviously predict, but, what are we looking at potentially, you think, in game 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's a little different. We didn't really have a player in the first match on 3 and 4 this morning, but we pay attention to it. Followed along, and Lindsay tried to play him a little further right than Liz to start. She got an 0-2 hole. I thought she made a great ball change. Game 3 really got into she moved left, got into a ball that rolled real good, and obviously she battled back in the match, and kind of a heartbreaking finish, but. To sit there and dig deep and come back from 0-2, Josie was down, 1. They kind of went back and forth. Kelly kind of gave her a game in there, but, she never gave up. Josie just really couldn't get the ball to do the right thing on the left lane, and ultimately that just, led to her loss. But, every player, they're fighting to the end. This is the end of the season, major championship on the line. We're in this great setting, so it's still fun to watch.
And despite the weather, I do want to make sure we give a shout out to Richmond Raceway because they have been on the phone here in the building, came out to make some changes earlier, met right before this match, of course, and they'll be back again after these matches end to make sure we're good for tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, they've had a couple of the head maintenance guys here. The VP of the track was just here before this match, trying to assess the situation, come up with the best solution. They love having the PWBA here. The PWBA loves coming here, and it's just unfortunate that there's been some storms in the area. And it's not like we had a major roof leak, people. We literally had a small drip dropping on the approach on lane 2. And it just won't go away. So hopefully tonight they're able to get it fixed, and we're able to use both pairs tomorrow. But I think we got a good solution right now, and we're getting some bowling in.
Here's Park in 4th frame, joined by Rob Gottschall of Ebonite International. We'll hope to have Danielle McCune for a little bit as well. What a shot there from Parkin. Big double.
Yeah, she made the ball change on that lane in the second frame. Probably a little iffy on how much different she wanted to play him. Much more confident shot there for Missy.
But I just wanted to make sure that, things get a little misconstrued. And so we want to make sure that Richmond Raceway gets their proper due.
Absolutely. The PWBA staff, too, they were on the phone making sure they're making all the right calls. They got to think about scheduling logistics going forward. They also have to sit here and plan what would happen if this match would get stopped to it. What's your solution? And I feel like they thought it out. Once they kind of came to their decision, they called everybody back, including all the manufacturer representatives in the back, briefed them as to what's going on, and they made the best decision they could, and here we are. But yeah, the racetrack, they're phenomenal
Absolutely.
people. We came here last year. I was just floored by how excited they were to have bowling here at Richmond Raceway.
Parkin. And 10 pin. I've seen that half 10 a lot today. I know it's a new install. Of course, is that a characteristic sometimes when you see certain things like that?
Well, it's kind of funny. We got a new install. It's same surface but different surface than last year. Last year we used the regular HPL. This year we have boutique HPL. But what's funny is, Emil, the 4 lanes are playing very similar to the way they did last year.
Oh.
And then in the characteristics, I don't know this. I didn't look at last year's pattern compared to this year's pattern because, I'm one of those people that I'm going to see what the ball's doing going down this lane, and that's how I'm going to make my judgment. But it really seems as you start to migrate left on this pattern, they get a little tight in front of the pins. They read the fronts a little early, and if your ball's not doing the perfect thing, when it's a little more speed sensitive, so if you're a little quick or you miss it at the bottom, it really doesn't throw the pins around. It just comes in and you get that half hit. I mean, you've seen Bree leave 3 half sevens to start the game. Kelly in the match this morning, she was able to get a little further left, get a little steeper with her angles, but Kelly's so good at keeping her speed down that she was getting it to pick up in a part of the lane where a vast majority of these players can't get it to do that same thing, so she was able to have that 5 and 6 bagger reaction.
Shot there from Coté. Now her own double. As we get closer to the 6th frame. Get Parkin up 1-0.
Yeah, and with this match, Emil, both players are going to keep it in play. From practice on, they both had control of the pocket. They're both good spare shooters. I think every match is going to come down to the 9th or the 10th. I really don't necessarily see someone, not that either player can't string strikes, but I just see it being more one of those double spare, maybe triple spare type matches to where you're just going to grind out those 2-0s, 2 teens, and you gotta stay calm and stay humble and just take it one shot at a time. But I really see this match, every game, coming down to the 9-10 frame.
Just like that, we're tied. Here in game number 2. Rob Gottschall, Emil Williams Jr. here with you. Coming up next, after a re-oil, we'll have Jordan Richard, 2018 PWBA Rookie of the Year. She'll take on Shannon Pluhowsky. Of course, 2 players that Rob is very familiar with.
Yeah, and just kind of based on what we saw yesterday, me and Brian were talking about it at the hotel, this morning, that match I think has the potential to be one of the higher scoring matches of the tournament, just because Shannon's got the left all to herself, Jordan's got the right all to herself, and Shannon's game plan, right now after practice yesterday, we haven't seen what's going on today, is to throw urethane, very similar to what she did here last year in Richmond. And Jordan with the power and rivet, she was really throwing the pins around yesterday in practice a good bit, had 2-3 balls to look at. So I see that one to be a little bit of a shootout here later this evening. That's
Parkin.
a real good shot.
It's the best of the match right there. In your estimation, and Missy's been, kind of part of your staff for several years now, but what makes Missy so good in your opinion?
You know, Missy's got a lot of heart. She never quits. You know, even if she's out of the number with it, mathematically, she never quits. She's always trying to learn. This year, right before the season started, she flew down to Hopkinsville. We took some measurements on her game and really analyzed some things, tried to work out some different layout type things to make her ball do the right thing. She also put in a lot of good work right after Team USA camp to where the ball's out in front of her a little bit more at the release point, so her rev rate's gone up a little bit. It's a little cleaner through the front. She's a competitor. She's a great competitor. She's going to PABCON next week with Team USA.
It's amazing to think that last year she was here competing.
With a baby in her belly.
Pregnant.
Yeah.
And doing a darn good job of it, I might add. So she posted something earlier that said, of course, last year DJ was here, but in a different sense. And now he's here again as Coté gets some carry. Well, Rob, you pretty much called it. We double 9 spare, double 9 spare strike.
And you can see the same, really other than Bree's one errant shot that left the Greek church in the middle of that last game, both players have had control of the pocket from the get-go. And it was that way in practice. And, both of these players like to be up the lane a little bit more. I mean, call it their A game.
Sure.
And as they migrate to the left, they can do it. They're two of the best bowlers in the world. It just, history shows that their carry percentage goes down just a little bit, and I think it's going to lead to those games in the 2-0s, 2-teens, and 2-20s.
Double for Coté.
They're probably going to prove me wrong here. It's going to be 250 to 240. So.
Coté max score 247. Parkin 257. And it'll be Coté to finish first. So depending on how the 8th and 9th goes, Coté could step up with a chance to shut out Parkin. Or it could be the reverse where Coté is going to have to double, for example, to make Missy show up in the 10th frame. Here's the 8th frame from Parkin. And out of trouble, 4-7.
And just a little bit left off her hand. Breaks out the split, leaves a makeable spare.
Should remind everyone, of course, tomorrow we're scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. Eastern. Before the most recent schedule update, I know we had updated things reflecting that. So 9 a.m. Eastern time, we'll actually have matches 5 and 6. So that is Maria Jose Rodriguez and Rocio Restrepo, Erin McCarthy, and Diana Zagalova tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And then everything else will begin at noon with round 2 as it is on your bracket. All right, after the 8 spare, Parkin now max 235. And Coté will have the chance to take game 2 no matter what when she steps up in frames 9 and 10.
And this is a big shot to keep that count a little big strike here, keep the count a little closer.
And the 2-pin for Parkin. 210, thought about it momentarily. inside the Old Dominion building here. Had a chance to take a look at the venue. We posted some things across the PWBA social channels. Also, Go Bowling. Great Facebook Live there yesterday during practice. Be sure to check all those things out. All right.
Strike here, 9 spare strike.
Coté from Red Rock, Arizona, which is right next door to Tucson, which is where we will host a PWBA Tour stop in 2019. So looking forward to that. A city I haven't been to. Coté. Yeah, 4-7.
It's warm there, Emil. Tucson, it's warm. In the summer, hot.
Well, I don't remember what month we're going.
It doesn't matter.
It's probably going to be hot.
It's in the middle of the year. Beautiful place. She had a Tucson-inspired jersey yesterday for practice. It had the skyline of Tucson on it.
Coté looking to take care of the 4-7. We talked about plastic balls hooking at the end of the pattern.
This surface, the SPL surface, it's got so much friction, they hook, you know, and you have to learn to adjust. You know, it's a little easier going at the right side spares for the ladies. They tend to be able to flatten it out a little more and get it to go at the 10 a little straighter. But the left side one, they always kind of just use their normal release. And I mean, if you get a little slow, that plastic ball hook, 5 boards on you.
Coté with a 1-pin lead.
All 3 in the 10th to win. Shut her out.
Oh, great shot. Now Parkin's going to have a chance to go up 2-0. And it could be a bevy of situations depending on what happens with count. First the spare.
With the possibility of a tie.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I think the word is getting out that we are back and competing here at the Tour Championship. Please share, hit the thumbs up. Spare taken care of for Coté. And a great shot on the first one in the 10th.
This big strike right here, Emil. The strike here makes Missy throw the first one.
Hey, Rob, you've been in these situations across your career. Just how have you handled these type of situations?
I mean, it's mainly mental here. You just want to make sure you take a deep breath. You got to tell yourself there's nothing different. Just keep executing. Especially in both these players' case, they both have control of the lane. They understand what it's doing. Their ball's hitting the pocket.
That's a herder on the count perspective. And 2-10 officially for Coté. So in this situation, strike 7.
Yeah, strike 7 or 7 spare strike. Again, you're You're not thinking about that stuff right here, Emil. You're just trying to make a good shot, hit the pocket. You know, you got to be aggressive here. You can't be tentative in this situation, trying to tell yourself what you need. You just got to go out there and make the best shot you can. That one's pretty good.
Wow.
A little quick.
A 210 for Parkin. And a must-have.
Yes.
To win this game.
Spare 9. You know, the players practiced a lot of spares, you know, yesterday in the practice session because of the friction. But these spares, like the 210 and stuff, going to be a little bit of different because they weren't necessarily practicing these type of situations. They were really getting used to the corners, stuff like that. So, you know, she's probably going to stand in her normal space, maybe try to throw it a little harder, but there is the possibility of the ball tipping just a little bit here.
All right, if Missy doesn't make this match will be even at 1 game apiece. He's got a chance. Oh, slides the 2 right in front of the 10. You saw it hook. 210 to 201, and we're tied at 1 game apiece here in this best-of-5 match.
All right, Emil, I'm going to step away for a sec.
No problem, sir. Appreciate your time.
No problem.
And you guys have work to do.
That's right.
That is Rob Gottschall. Appreciate him joining us. Talking about, of course, this match, what's going on. Juice, I appreciate that update, my man. 7-0 Bears. I think both players kind of having that the brief chat with their respective team members, if you will. So while we have a moment, Roberto, that's a good question. On the line here, the 4th and final major of the season. Of course, this is the final event of the 2018 PWBA Tour season. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blast. It's been awesome. Seen a lot of captivating performances this year, and a lot of players who have opened some eyes. Players who have kind of returned to form, and we've seen a lot of in between as well. So it is the final event, $20,000 to the winner. The live TV finals will take place Wednesday, September 19th. Just a couple of days away, 8 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Until then, you know where to find us here on Bowl TV. All preliminary rounds will be on this channel until it is TV time, as Coté starts with a bucket. Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a late night, Brandon, but of course that's not something that we're not used to. It certainly wasn't expected and planned. It's been pretty different to actually eat dinner at a actual dinner time the last couple of days. But this is why we do what we do. We take care of business, and it's a big spare. Bucket's obviously not the easiest. Irish Pogey, yes, Tiffany is correct. What's going to happen is Jordan Richard and Shannon Pluhowsky, they are match 4 on your brackets. Match 4 will take place after a re-oil following the Parkin Coté match. So the the unfortunate circumstances, obviously, you hate to the players be around for that length of time, but that's the way things have worked out today as Parkin strikes in the first frame. So we'll have some additional bowling. So basically, stay tuned. So all important game number 3 between Parkin and Coté. 2 really good shots from Missy Parkin. Ball change to start this game, and it results in an early double. All right, Coté after the bucket, first frame, lane 3. Now hops over to lane 4. Different ball here for Coté. And that's a strike in the second. This is not a double elimination bracket, too. Important to note. Excuse me, single elimination. Best of 5 matches. Coté looking for a double. This match all tied at 1 apiece. Big double there for Coté. What I enjoy, despite what the players have gone through, the fans, us, everyone who has been here and battling the weather, essentially. When you get down to competition mode, it always and still brings out the best out of the players, and you can see it on display. It's like you hear people, fans talk about when you step into whatever your respective sport is inside the white lines. You know, when you step on the approach, and this sport is business. Parkin for 3 in a row. Got a hook. And just left that, of course, in the 10th frame. Another 210. That one looked right. Parkin will give it a run again. She'll take the count. If you're just joining us, Missy Parkin defeated Coté in game 1, 213-192. Then Coté battled to get game number 2, 210-201. Parkin left the 210 in the 10th frame and slid the 2 just in front of the 10 to open in the 10th frame. So we're tied at 1 game apiece. Big thanks to all of our staff here. Aaron Smith, to Neil Milligan, of course, our Director of Operations. Jason Thomas, Kathy Kavicki. Wow, trip to 4-9 there. A move to be made for Parkin next time around. Aaron Smith on the 1s and 2s with us. I want to thank everyone who has spent some portion of your day not only watching today, but watching the PWBA Tour throughout this season. You did not have to take the time to do that. We certainly appreciate it. Coté looking for 3 in a row. That one is right as well. And she leaves at 2-8. Rob Godswell joined us for just about all of game 1, or excuse me, game 2. And he mentioned how this match kind of seemed to have the feel of, you know, the double spare type games where they'd be relatively low scoring. And that's kind of been the case. High game is Missy Parkin's 213. Low game is Bryanna Coté's 192. And that's through 4 total games. 2-8. That's a tough spare. Certainly on the middle of this pattern. In the middle of the lane. But in a very weird way, we've seen balls hook from there earlier today. So open frame for Coté. And again, looking really at a 10-pin match right in just a sec. If you're in the area, I certainly hope you have been safe. You know, and if it's all good, I certainly still encourage you to stop on by. Maybe not tonight, but certainly tomorrow. Full day of bowling tomorrow. We'll still be here tonight, though. And the 4-6-7 here for Coté. All right, she'll take the count. Good shot there from Parkin, and she leaves a 7-pin. And now pleased to be joined by the number 2 seed in the PWBA Tour Championship. She will take the lanes on Wednesday night, of course, outside of practice, and that is Danielle McEwen.
Hi, guys.
Appreciate you tuning in, or excuse me, joining us, Danielle, and tuning in, because I'm sure you did that earlier today at some point.
I did.
So far for, of course, 1-1. Not sure how much of this match you've been able to see. But from your vantage point and just from the lanes, you know, what are you seeing, kind of maybe how you would attack it if you were out there at this particular point?
Well, we got to practice on this set yesterday, and they're looking a little bit different than how practice session played out. Definitely closer to the second practice, since I had the advantage to practice both of them. But definitely a little bit flatter overall, a little bit trickier. As you can see, if there's no hold left. If you miss left, there's not really a chance, and there's definitely hang if you get it right. And both of them are definitely struggling with carry when they get around the pocket, so it's tricky. It's going to be a grind, and have to make good shots. Hope the pins fall.
Parkin 4-7. And Danielle McEwen joining us here in the booth. Have any perhaps good questions here for D-Mac? Let's see if we can get a few of those in the duration of this match. I know you're looking forward to obviously being here back at the Tour Championship. There's only been 8 players, or 9 players, if I'm not mistaken, who have made the Tour Championship in every season.
That's
since
cool.
you're
I
one of
didn't know
those
that.
people.
Very cool.
Obviously, you're one of just 3 people to win the Tour Championship. I know I'm dropping all these facts and superlatives. But what does it mean for you to be back at this event? I mean, it is, every player works to get to this point, and only 16 players have the opportunity to do that.
It's such an honor to be here. Our tour is so strong. We have the best women bowlers in the world coming out every weekend competing against each other, and every year it just gets stronger and stronger. So to be in the top at the end of the year when everything's said and done, it really says a lot. The girls that are out here are the best of the best.
It's an important game, obviously, game 3. The match tied 1 game apiece. Coté missed a 2-8 in frame 4 in open, again in the 5th, and trying to stop this open string. This goes to made a nice move there. She actually kind of squared up a little bit as opposed to what she did in the 4th frame, kind of going left to right to take care of that 2-8. So smart move on her part.
That spare is tricky when you're bowling on something that is flatter and you don't have left, you don't have right. It makes it look like you have to hit a pin all the way down there exactly perfectly.
The pattern, that's in practice, obviously, as a watcher, just someone who's just viewing and taking things in, can be misleading. You see a lot of strikes. We saw some strikes, and it certainly looked like, they would be playable and various angles. But once you get into it and you start laying the pattern down, and things get a little tricky. Obviously, we've been dealing with elements today.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, practice is, just that, especially you can see it on these pair of lanes because we're only dealing with 4 lanes. So each lane has its own characteristics, each pair does as well. And then every time they strip and re-oil for different practice sessions, for different matches, they change again. So, and as you said, we have environment obstacles going on at the moment, so that definitely plays into everything, and it makes it tricky. That's our sport.
One would think a little bit of there's always transition happening, but maybe the first kind of major sense for both players in regards to that. Wow. And spares have been tricky. Talked about the surface. Rob Gottschall mentioned it a little bit. Just in the way that plastic balls seem to hook a little bit.
They hook a ton. I noticed that. I actually had to readjust how I shoot a lot of my right side spares because I felt like I just couldn't get the ball there, and then when I did, it would hook off the gutter. So it's very easy to chop and to miss. If you miss a little left again, it's not going to sit there.
Still a close game here with that open frame for Brid leaves it with 112 in the 7th. And now Parkin. 10 back.
And that's the cool thing with this format with just the head-to-head matches is not that it doesn't matter, but if you're having a rough game or if you're having a great game, it all depends what your partner's doing, and it's easy to shake it off and move on to the next one.
In the booth with us is Danielle McEwen, number 2 seed. I'm curious, D-Mac, and I'll get into it after this shot from Missy Parkin, but had a couple questions here that I see already, and we'll try to mix those in as we get through our first match here this evening. Parkin looking for a double, looking to take control. It's wide right, 2, 4, 10. Wow. The misses have seemed to be right for both of these players. And we've seen a lot of 2-pin combinations. 2 10s, several for Missy Parkin, excuse me.
And that just again comes down to the pattern and the way that the lanes are playing. You have to have your angles so steep, and you can see that both the players are trying so hard to kind of get it steep angles to make sure it doesn't come up high, and that's when that can happen on the flip side of it.
She'll give it a run and takes care of it this time. Yeah,
Textbook.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a couple of 210s. One in the 10th frame of game 2. Just missed, and that's a big spare. A 22-pin lead. Man, I actually forgot what I was going to ask you. Hopefully it will come back to me. But here's Coté. 8th frame. Inside the Old Dominion building, Richmond Raceway, Richmond, Virginia. All change for Coté. And certainly didn't like it off the hand. 1, 2, 4. Seems like a certain level of being comfortable has kind of removed itself from Bree. Had a good handle on the 1-3 for a while, and now in a situation where she's trying to get the pocket back. When you're in this type of situation, how do you try to battle, kind of cope with what you're doing, and eventually you'll hopefully find what you're looking for?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. I usually just tell myself to try to remain as calm as possible and just believe that once I see what I'm looking for, it'll all come back. The shot making will come back, the ball reaction will come back, and I'll be fine. And it's just kind of working through the process to get to that point again. Definitely easier said than done.
So we've chatted and just kind of about your routine and some of the things you have gone through over the course of several seasons. Last year you were, as you mentioned, in a slump of sorts, and you spent almost the entire season trying to work your way out of it, which you did, and it resulted in 3 TV appearances and a title near the end of the season last year. Oh, that actually reminded what I was going to say. Great. Awesome. All right, here's Coté. 9th frame. That's much better. 10 back. Shot there from Bree keeps her in the match here. So in particular, in regards to this season, where would you put this season, 2018, as opposed to or compared to the previous 3?
That's a hard question. That's a really hard question. I think I'd have to kind of break it up into categories as far as that goes, because when you look at just the results, they kind of are all pretty close.
Yeah.
I've had 1 win every season, make a handful of TV shows, haven't really had any disasters,
Right.
just kind of hanging in there on the other weeks. But as far as the actual process of what I'm dealing with that people don't see goes, they're uncomparable. Like I said, last year was a struggle, a constant uphill battle for me that worked out in the end, and this year was the complete opposite. I started off really good, really comfortable, really confident with my game, and I was able to kind of float with that all year, but the results are the same, so it's a bittersweet thing.
Would you call it like a career year in that sense, where you finished second in points maybe for the first time, but is that enough to deem it a career year for you?
I hope not. Hope there's better ones in the future.
I like that answer. Parkin wrapped a 10, and she's going to spare it up. So here's the deal. Missy can step up in the 10th frame. Strike, any kind of spare, be a 1-pin victory. Best Coté do is shoot 192. If she goes 9 spare strike, could have a tie. Of course, count of utter importance, not only on this shot, but potentially on a fill as well. First shot, 10th frame, 10 back, and I mean bulldozed back to the screen and the curtain. But not done yet. Obviously, a strike would be the easiest thing to do here, and you can take the fill shot and maybe experiment a little bit as well, but any type of spare will get the job done as well. So a huge shot for Parkin. Already done in the 10th frame, excuse me, first one in the 10th, huge shot. Hook. Wow. She's made it. Made it back in the 8th frame on the same lane, 2-4-10. Big thing here is to get the count. 2 will be 192. And Coté would have to throw all 3 in the 10th just to tie.
Yes.
Parkin for the win. All right, she takes 2. Well, Parkin in the books, 192. And Coté, who has struggled with ball reaction this game, it started well at the early double in frames 2 and 3. I know a lot of the players, obviously you included, talk about breathing. How important is that in this type of situation?
Oh, that's everything. It's keeping your heart rate as low as possible and your brain clear, and the easiest way to do that is a really deep breath and let it all out and go.
First shot, 10th frame, Coté gets him to wiggle.
It's been a great match so far. Every game's been pretty close.
Yeah, 213, 192. Parkin victory, 210, 201. Coté victory. And now
They're
potentially
grinding. They're working hard.
a 192 tie. Anything less than all 3 in the 10th, and Coté will fall in this game and should be down 2-1. A lot of hellos to you, by the way. We'll get into those
Hi, everyone.
in just a second, as well as those questions. Haven't forgot, folks. Second shot, 10th frame. That takes off 4-6, and Missy Parkin is going to go up 2-1. Here in this best-of-5 match. And that's going to prompt Bree, I believe, to try another piece of equipment, and certainly why not. Any, based on what you've seen, if you could put your coaching hat on, your analyst hat, what type of moves, perhaps, and I know you know the equipment as well, so if you can talk about what we're seeing in regards to ball, and maybe the reaction that she's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, Bree, she was really close. Those first couple of games using bigger balls, I think they had a little less surface on it from what it looked like off to the side, and she was able to control the pocket, wasn't getting the carry. Seems like that's kind of gone away a little bit. The ball she just threw in the fill was a winner, so that should be a little cleaner, a little more shaped down lane than what she was originally using earlier. So hopefully that can, you know, get her just different shape at this point when you just shot a game like that where, you know, she wasn't really around the pocket. There's a lot of 8s, a lot of 7s. You need to look for something totally different. So
to give you a quick update, folks, there we are on your screen, live from the Old Dominion building here at Richmond Raceway from Richmond, Virginia. Round 1 match is still ongoing. Best of 5, 2-1 here. Parkin leading Coté here at the 2018 PWBA Tour Championship. Emil Williams Jr. in the booth, and pleased to be joined by the number 2 seed at the Tour Championship this year, Danielle McEwen. So as we head to game 4, let's scroll up here and see what we can find quickly here from our questions so far. And I'm going to try to start from the top so to make sure I don't miss anyone. And if I do, I apologize. If you don't hear your question, feel free to redrop it in the chat as we watch Missy Parkin here get underway. Wow, in near trouble to begin things, but just a 7 for Missy. All right, let's see. Besides Danielle being a boss and being the best and everyone saying hello.
Well, thank you.
Let's see. That's awesome. Probably, that's a good question, but it might be a little bit early, of course. What equipment essentially are you looking at for your match? So maybe based on what you've seen from your practice sessions yesterday and some of the action today.
Well, based on practice yesterday, the balls that worked best for me were an Idol that had that was shiny, Code Red, Code Black. The winner was close later on in the block. Later on in the block of practice.
And then, of course, obviously, there's some elements that you won't get a chance to simulate because you'll be on TV. And obviously, that's a completely different environment in that sense, so things could change.
Oh, of course. They're going to change, like I said, once they strip in oil and bowl however many more matches we have, and then you add in the TV lights. It's going to be a totally different monster by the time we get out there.
9 spare for Parkin and a bucket for Coté. So she started last game with a bucket actually on lane 3. Ironically, again, 2 games to 1. Parkin leading the way. That was from 22 catch 22. Nice username. Jones is 45 asked, how did collegiate bowling prepare you to be a professional bowler?
Collegiate bowling taught me everything. That's kind of led me to here. It gave me an opportunity to compete every weekend and compete on hard conditions, but now with where I'm at today on this tour, the biggest thing it taught me was how to compete every weekend. Because in collegiate bowling, you bowl. My coach never let us bowl more than, I think, 3 or 4 weekends in a row without a break, but that's still a lot when you're trying to juggle school and everything else that comes with the collegiate program. But it taught me how to go home and reset on Monday and be ready to be back out there by Thursday or Friday. So got my degree, most important thing, always go for your degree first.
That's a very good note. Thank you for saying that. That is so important. Good spare early for Coté, and she gets the 7 to fall. So did see the ball change. She experimented, obviously, as we saw in the fill or on the fill in the previous game, and in a way, looks like she's made a move, but doesn't look like it's been a huge move in this anticipation yet.
Not yet. I think she can make this one work, and she's gonna stick with it, what she's seeing out there, and commit to it.
And here's Missy. I tell you, this piece of equipment for Missy seems to have given her the best reaction in the last 2 games. And I'd have to imagine if it's not something that she did perhaps at the shot to maybe cause a bad shot. I mean, she's been in the 1-3. We've seen a lot of strikes that have gone 10 back.
Yeah, absolutely. Missy's bowled a very good game. Very good set.
And as Rob mentioned earlier, really what you'd expect from both of these players. Always around the 1-3. Taking care of business, filling frames. And it's going to be close. Each game has been close. as you alluded to earlier. Oh, Parkin looking for an early double. Back to your questions here in just a second. All right, 10-pin. Seen that 10-pin has been an issue for some players this match, especially very early on. A lot of half 10s.
And half 7s. I've seen a handful of both of them.
Question on your fitness schedule from Sean Savage. What's your fitness schedule like?
Well, right now or pre-tour?
Um,
Right now it's not very good. But usually when I'm home, prior to when the season started, I was in the gym twice a day, every day. I would go in the morning and get my cardio in, stretch out, then go practice, and then go back at night and lift. When I'm lifting, I'm focusing mainly on legs, back, core, a lot of stability, a lot of balance, all stuff that helps me and my sport. But at this point in the season, it's trying to maintain and keep your head above the water for another weekend. A lot of stretching, a lot of foam rolling.
Stretching seems to be underrated.
Oh, it's the most important thing, though.
Coté looking to be the first player to double. Big shot. Good question there, Sean. Kind of answered that one in regards to kind of equipment, what you may be throwing, but you won't really know obviously until we get to that point.
Nope, you'll have to tune in and see.
And there, folks, is a lesson in teasing. Teasing a TV show that happens on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Good shot. Boy, Bree working hard, as is Missy. And you talked about it. You can see it. And, I mean, they've been so similar in what they have done. A couple strikes here. 10-pin, 7-pin here. Maybe trade and open.
Yeah, they've been working really hard, both of them. I see they're going to be mentally exhausted after this match for sure. I'm sure it's going to feel like a lot more than however many games they end up bowling.
Good spare there from Coté. All right, let me keep scrolling. Here's Parkin. Big shot.
Great shot.
Nine pins the difference. Game 4, best of 5. Parkin with the 1 game advantage. Again, it's the first to 3 wins. Practice routine for Danielle McEwen. What does that look like?
Practice routine definitely varies depending on where my game's at, what I have coming up. throughout the season. I'm not making any major changes. Hopefully there's nothing wrong in my game that I have to, but I'm just kind of going through my normal 2-3 drills of physical game stuff. If something comes up throughout the season that I feel like I need to work on more, like a rotation hand trick or a speed trick, something like that, I'll add that in. And a lot of spares. Shoot a lot of spares to make sure everything's sharp as can be. When it's away from the season, that's when I'll do a little more work on patterns or learning different equipment and just trying to bring my knowledge up as much as it can be about every aspect of the game.
Pin here for Parkin. Should remain clean. No opens. All right, Coté. Fifth frame. That looks good. Wow.
Great shot.
You heard her mouth it to herself. Good shot. I'm curious in your estimation. I mean, if you kind of watching what's happening, and you know, is this a time where you have to make perhaps, I won't say a drastic move, but something just major enough to try to get the 10 out, or kind of based on both players kind of inhabiting the same experiences, do you kind of stay with what you have?
Yeah, if this was a qualifying block where we were bowling 8 games, absolutely. We'd be looking at different balls, different zones of the lane, anything. Because, you know, you're not just trying to grind, you're trying to put a good score up there. But based on the fact of how this match is played out, both the players are seeing the same stuff, and they're both in control of the pocket. I don't see either of them making any huge drastic change. Maybe something, a feel trick, one of their things that they can pull up with just a little bit of speed, a little bit of loft, a little bit of rotation, just to try to get the 10 out. But I personally wouldn't make a major move.
Right, high flush for Coté, trying to stay alive here in this match. She leads by 8. All right, a couple questions from Texas Rocks. I would say yes, because he acts with getting buys until the semis. Are you watching a lot of the matches, certainly? And I'll let you answer the question officially.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm here right now watching, but I watched earlier on the same way that you guys are on here, and then I'm here now. I'm probably not going to watch the next round. I kind of want to get out and get back, since my drive here was a little scary with the weather, and I don't want to be out too late having to face that. But I will be watching on my phone just like you guys, trying to see any characteristics or anything that anybody figures out so that I know the trick too.
Great shot from Missy Parkin. Now trying to double up here. That's really Parkin and Coté kind of going back and forth, but Coté with the advantage at the moment. Be the first double for Parkin this game if she could strike here in the 7th. Looking for it. Has it. I gotta say, of the two players at the moment, Parkin has had the better ball reaction to me. Both have wrapped 10 pins though, in very inopportune times, if you will. But those two shots from Missy Parkin said, I'm trying to go ahead and win this match right now. Can Coté answer Here she is, 7th frame. Frame 4, got a hook. And how about that? Haven't seen that a lot today.
This is a great match here.
Well, folks, if you watching obviously what we're watching, I encourage you to share this. Let folks know what's happening here. Missy Parkin leading 2-1. This game 4 here, separated by just 8 pins, with Coté stepping up in the 8th frame. In the booth, Danielle McEwen, the number 2 seed. My name is Emil Williams Jr., Tour Championship 2018. Coté. And a 4-pin out of trouble. That had the makings of a big 4 or 4-6-7 and all kinds of bad things.
Yeah, I think she's okay with that just being a 4-pin.
If there's a level of bad news, it's that Parkin looks to be, I won't say deadlocked in at the moment. But again, those last 2 shots, and you talk about a scoreboard, minus the early bucket from Coté, it's been all 9 counts and strikes on both players. Hold on. Into error there for Coté. We talked about it, making the adjustments in regards to spares. They've been tricky.
Very tricky. I mean, you saw it just there. That probably would have made it 95% of the time, but these sides of the lane's just hookier.
So 225 now back score for Coté. Certainly not over, but Missy Parkin can say a lot about the direction of this match in the next 2 frames. 8th frame for Parkin, that's right. And boy, I've seen several times where she's maybe gotten one right previously in this match that would have left it 210. That time just the 2-pin, and very fortunate there on that break. Again, don't forget, we've got an additional match. Jordan Richard will take on Shannon Pluhowsky after a re-oil following the conclusion of this match. Get matches 3 and 4 in today. So we'll be here for the foreseeable future, and I'm okay with it. I know the players obviously having to deal with the same circumstances, but kind of as I said earlier, once you get on the approach, once bowling starts, it's kind of the competition part takes over.
Oh, absolutely. I do feel for the girls, though. The sitting around waiting to bowl thing is the hardest, especially in the Tour Championship. You just want to get out there and compete. And I always liked, I hate getting assigned night blocks. I always want to bowl first thing in the morning, get up and go. Less time to think about it.
The spare in the 8th frame. Parkin 9th frame shot, and that is high. And a 6-10. So just like that, I mean, literally just like that. Bryanna Coté can still extend this match. Did you see anything different Missy's last 2 shots? One was certainly a little right on the right lane.
Yeah, and I think the left lane was just a kind of correction to make up for that. Not that we mean to, but especially in a pressure situation, it's in the back of your mind to not do the same mistake twice.
So Parkin's max score, 217. It's a must strike here for Coté to make sure she stays away from any type of shutout situation. With Parkin's max score at 217. Certainly the ball is in her court. All right, 7 goals. Getting the late love on the 7 pin. Right, 10th frame belonging to Coté. Last time she was in this situation, she needed 3 strikes to tie. Parkin couldn't do it. Oh, wow, gets a nice break. That's a huge shot. The next one, a must-have in regards to the shutout. Anything less than the strike here, and Parkin will have an opportunity to step up and win in the 10th frame. See the deep breath, a couple breaths. Coté set, ready. There's the release. Down the lane. Bang!
Great shot.
What a shot there from Coté.
It's an awesome shot when you need it.
All right, barring any craziness, keep it on the lane. And we're going to 5. What a job by Coté.
Absolutely. She ended that game with some great shots.
So every match so far in the Tour Championship has gone to the 5th
Really?
and final game.
That is correct. Wow. Keeps it interesting.
Missy will take this opportunity, of course, to experiment if necessary. Questions in the chat about the building. We're not necessarily on the track. We are
Right
we
next
are on
door.
the grounds, but we are next door. The building specifically is called the Old Dominion Building, and it is literally next door to the actual track. Special install. Again, it's the 2nd consecutive year the Tour Championship has been right here. The Old Dominion Building and Richmond Raceway. Cubica AMF. Great install from the lanes, scoring.
It's such a cool setup here. I mean, this building is just so, it's cozy, and we're just literally right in the center of it, taking it over with bowling. There's nothing better.
Thanks to Greg Moore, the USBC Championships build, one of his staff. I got to give a shout out to Justin Wyman, who has done a lot of work as well. Digital signage here. It's off actually in the left corner of your screen, but it was on earlier if you saw us. And Justin's been doing everything else that has been necessary. So big thanks to him and all of our tournament staff. 225, 214. Coté takes game 4, and we're off to the 5th and final game. D-Mac, what time you leave?
Oh, I'm staying for the match.
Okay.
I'm staying for the remainder of the game for sure.
All right, early break. Earlier matches saw Kelly Kulick defeat Josie Barnes. Again, 3-2. Liz Colkin defeated Lindsey Boomershine and a tough one at the end. 3-2. And now whoever wins this match, it will be 3-2 as well. Wow. And maybe for the first time in a while, I mean, we started to see some extreme down lane hook. Unless that was a little slow, which it certainly could have been, but that ball had a knee line going left. 6, 7, 10. Not gonna lie, I'm a little I'll talk about it after this spare. It's got a chance. Oh, how about that? Missy Parkin.
Textbook splits left and right.
DJ's mom. So put that on the list with her 2-4-10 and her near 2-10 make.
Yes.
It's a good thing I didn't say what I was going to say, because I was about to say I was really hungry, and it just would have made for just not the most impressive call on a split conversion. But now we can highlight this one and send it out to the world. Was that a ball change? Maybe it looked like one.
I'm not
sure.
positive. It's hard to tell from down here.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. And in regards to our location, we're actually below the lanes in the settee area where the players are. So literally directly in front of us are a couple couches where the players sit in between shots. You know, we've got a normal setup. You know, a couple tables, obviously cameras where we need them, etc. But the couches are blocking our view, so we are privy to our monitor. How about that? Now this match is, well, we just knew we would just get everything that you can get in 5 games in this one.
That's for sure. Wow. These matches are all about momentum, and I feel like both players have had a chance to kind of take it over, and then just when that happens, the other one takes it back pretty quickly.
Danielle McEwen in the booth with us. Rob Gotchel joined us end of game 1 and just about all of game 2. From Ebonite International, Coté looking to get one here. That's better, but it's going left as well, and now a 3-10. So now, of course, bowling about kind of the on-the-fly adjustments. You know, always in a sense some moves to be made and to be thought about, and definitely in that aspect right now.
Yeah, I don't think she liked that shot very much, but from watching her last shot, Missy's shot, there's definitely some transition going on out there, so hopefully she stays on top of it.
Now, interesting, of course, she finished the last game on lane 3 and looked pretty confident and comfortable as she chops the 3 off the 10. They opened in the 3rd, and she came right out, kind of went Brooklyn first frame, and now, of course, the 3-10 and the open frame, on that very lane. So Bree's going to have to regroup quickly on Parkin. It looks to be the same ball she's been using for a while. Looks to be a Rodman Pearl, if I'm not mistaken, from EBI, and that's 10 back. Gets him to go for Parkin. Couple questions in the chat in regards to, or for you, Danielle, I should say. It's a good question, actually. We'll get to it in just 1 second. Parkin stepping up in the 4th frame. Looking for 3 in a row. Best of 5. We're in game 5. 5th and final game. And the 7-pin remains. Off in the distance, you can hear Drew trying to help the bowling ball wheel the pins down.
Yeah, he's back behind the bleachers, pacing back and forth in circles, as he's been the whole match.
Drew,
It's hard
of course.
watching.
Yeah.
Watching is so much harder than bowling.
Missy's husband. All right, spare made. Okay, D-Mac obviously with a strong fitness routine. I imagine diet is as important in that
absolutely.
situation as well. So Sean asked, do you have a favorite cheat food? So if you know your cheat meal.
Two things come to mind. First of all, I'm a huge mac and cheese fan.
Okay.
So when I'm on the road, if I come across a restaurant that has one of their big traditional mac and cheese with the breadcrumbs and the works, yeah, that's definitely one of them. The second one that comes to mind is whenever I'm home, my local deli makes these amazing breakfast sandwiches that are huge, covered in potatoes and what sausage or bacon and egg and everything, and that's my go-to. As soon as I'm home, first stop is at Deli Central.
All right, Deli Central, I'm gonna write that down.
Then I go to the gym and try to work it all off.
So when in Stony Point,
Yes.
hit up Deli Central. Perhaps the best shot of even better than some of the ones we saw in the 10th frame, and one that got the 10 out for Coté finally in the 4th, trying to back it up. Troublesome lane so far this game. Not that time though. How about that?
Much better shot in that lane. It's going to be another tough match this game.
All right, there was one more, and it was about collegiate bowling, but I remember it. It was any advice or what advice you would give to, I believe it was collegiate bowlers or aspiring collegiate bowlers. Now, I've got to double check it. But first, here's Parkin. That is 10 back for Missy. Mike Flanagan checking in. Mike doing work this weekend on the streaming side as well. All right, Amy Sherman mentioned, yes, what advice do you have for collegiate bowlers? I guess that could be a twofold question.
Yeah, so my advice for anybody looking to go bowl collegiately, first, as I said earlier, get your degree, put your degree first, make sure you're going to a school that has the major you're interested in. And then secondly would be to go to a collegiate event and watch it firsthand. Whatever schools you're considering going to, pay attention to the coaching, the players, how they interact with each other, you know, how everybody gets along, if they bowl as a team on the lanes, if it's 5 separate people bowling. Every team has a different strategy, so that's the most important thing that I could suggest. As far as people already involved in collegiate bowling, I would say enjoy it. It goes really, really quick, and it's going to be some of the best years of your life. You don't really have a chance to bowl as a team after college. There's very few opportunities, so embrace it, enjoy it.
Sound advice there as Parkin put up 2 amazing shots on the board in frames 5 and 6. And now Coté working on a double. Strike to cut the lead to 3, or the deficit to 3 for her. And she leaves a 10 pin. The common leaves in this match at the half 10, the half 7, and you know, really the 2-pin type combinations. We've seen a few splits. We've seen some 2-8s. All right, spare made for Coté. Mike, safe travels, sir. Appreciate you hopping on the Bowl TV during your layover. It's a good place to be, Vegas.
Yeah. Vegas is nice. We're always in Vegas.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's if you bowl more times than not, probably been to Vegas at least once.
Yeah. That's my favorite part about talking to people that don't bowl. When you bring up Vegas, they're like, "Oh, Vegas, it's amazing. You get to go to Vegas." And I'm usually like, "Yeah, I was just there last month. It's okay."
Wow, that pitch just kind of hangs out and doesn't clip the tin. Just kind of flails out in the right gutter. I mean, this is really everything you would want in a match, and especially at this event, this type of event, with what's at stake, what's on the line, single elimination. You know, and despite what we've gone through, the thing is certainly you feel that, you know, unfortunately someone has to lose. It's just, you want this kind of match to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard no matter how you look at it. They both bowled great, as did the other matches. Whenever a set goes to 5 games, you're fighting hard. Both players are fighting hard, so unfortunately only one can move on.
All right. Parkin is up. Looking for the first triple here in game 5. Wow, and Missy has that look. The last 3 shots have been superb.
I think this is the first early triple we've seen, other than in the 9th and 10th frame this whole set.
Did have a good question, and actually came up earlier. We were talking to Stephanie Johnson this morning. You know, sometimes very common to see rangefinders down lane. There aren't any here, so any tips on, you know, targeting in general, and maybe how you would target? Not sure how you target to begin with, but if you had to give tips on, you know, when those the rangefinders aren't there, you'll answer that after this shot. Missy A-frame. Yeah. 10 pin.
Yeah, it is tricky. When you're used to the rangefinders down lane, a lot of people become accustomed to using them, and your eyes are just trained to kind of seeing ball motion go around them. But obviously on the surface that's not there, so you just I feel like you need to be a little more sharper and focused on your target. Anybody that targets areas or is more of a field player than an exact target player might struggle with something like that, but it's just readjusting your focus and putting it in different areas. There's a lot of times where I will target down lane, and at a center like this, I would try to stay away from that and focus more on my angles through the front, rather than trying to look for a spot down lane that's harder to see without the different colors in the boards or the rangefinders.
All right, Parkin made the spare. .248 max score for Parkin. .234 the max score for Coté, but in must-strike territory, and 3-6 here. Shakes her head as she walks back. Max down now to 222. You get a hello from Doug and Annalise O'Brien.
Hello.
Congrats to Annalise.
Junior gold winner right there.
Absolutely. 2018 on the U15 girls.
I'm sure we'll be seeing her out here one day. As a lot of young bowlers, I had the opportunity to go junior gold this year, and the talent in the kids that are 12, 13, 14 is unbelievable.
All right, Coté, 3 consecutive spares. Does she look to have a beat on the lanes at the first 4 out of 5 of the first couple? She didn't like it. She got some breaks right at the ship in frames 4 and 5, and now big shot here in the 9th frame. And that pesky 7.
Yeah, she liked that one. We've seen a lot of those this match.
Corner pins have been a nemesis this match. All right, she saw it through, watched the ball hit the pin. 2-11. Max for Coté, but Parkin got a chance to take care of it. 9th and 10th here. Looks left, but it didn't matter. I think Missy may have said, I'm not quite sure. And a little hold, perhaps, down lane.
Yeah, I think she's okay with the result.
Again, Coté max at 2-11. Good count here. And even if an open may occur, Parkin will advance. Wow. That's okay. That's going to be enough. My math is correct. 214. Not the way she wanted to do it.
Definitely not, but a win is a win. She worked hard that whole match.
That 216 will be a winner. For Coté.
Making a ball change just to see.
What a season for her. After a 2017 that did not go as planned, certainly.
No, she had a great year.
That season on tour, back at the Tour Championship, although it will end early, but she won the 10K challenge from Go Bowling. For runner-up finishes, Fountain Valley Open, of course, she beat her there. Finished second at the USBC Queens, fourth at the Greater Harrisburg Open. All right, we know it's late, but we got one more match to follow. Jordan Richard and Shannon Pluhowsky will take to the lanes following a re-oil. Bryanna Coté officially in the books with 197, Missy Parkin 216. And Parkin will be moving on 3 games to 2. She will take on Liz Culkin. It should be a great match. So 2 round 2 matches to look forward to tomorrow. Liz Johnson and Kelly Kulick. Liz Culkin and Missy Parkin. And the top half of your bracket. And now we'll have the first match of the bottom half of the bracket in round number 1. Again, Jordan Richard and Shannon Pluhowsky. So we will keep the stream live. We will not be ending this event. We will keep the stream live. Of course, the reason why they're bowling at this time and the way it is because of some issues with the roof and some leaking and some minor things happening over on the approach at lane 2. So that's what we're doing. But I want to thank Danielle McEwen, D-Mac, as you look forward and you look ahead. How do you kind of go about the rest of your week at this point?
I'm gonna go get some food, get a good night's sleep. I'll be back here tomorrow to watch the rest of the matches, hang out with you some more. We get a practice session tomorrow night where I get to get back out on the lanes, hit the gym a little bit, and then come in Wednesday ready to go.
Appreciate your
Be
time.
sure to tune in Wednesday night.
That's right, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everyone, for your questions for Danielle. Appreciate your time, D-Mac. And,
yes, thanks for having me. Thanks
I'll
for
see you
watching,
tomorrow.
guys. Keep watching. It's going to be a great match next, I'm sure.
All right, that is Danielle McEwen. Again, stay tuned. Jordan Richard, the 2018 PWBA Rookie of the Year, and Shannon Pluhowsky, one of the best players in the world. Let's not even talk about one of the best lefties in the game. Coming up next. First lefty we'll see. So first time we'll see what the left side looks like, and of course that means one right-hander will be all by their lonesome. How will that turn out? We'll find out in just a little bit. So hang tight. Back in a moment. And yeah, Pluhowsky, Richard, coming up next. You're watching the 2018 PWBA Tour Championship on Bowl TV. was getting hype. Getting hype for this final match of the day, of the evening. Here at the PWBA Tour Championship, Emil Williams Jr. along with Aaron Smith, and we are underway with the 2018 PWBA Rookie of the Year. Jordan Richard taking on Shannon Pluhowsky. 6 versus 15, the seeds on your bracket. Lefty versus righty. First time we'll see this here in the Tour Championship. Shannon, very experienced, obviously, being the lone lefty in many situations. Here is her first shot. Ow. Well, good shot. Tough result. And a 10-pin here for Pluhowsky, starting with urethane. You see Jordan Richards starting little in comparison to other right-handers. We saw her play in that area during her practice session. And Aaron Smith, I know we both have talked about, this is arguably will be one of the toughest matches, certainly. And talked to Rob Gottschall, and he thought it actually could be relatively high scoring as well.
Could definitely see that. Definitely had this one circled on. Obviously a lot of great matchups here, but this one definitely a lot of intrigue. Obviously the lefty righty, always fun, especially when staying on the same pair of lanes. 5-game or best of 5 matchup. So both players really get the lanes to themselves. Kind of got to use their 10 minutes of warm up to break down what they could, kind of create that area that they were hoping to play in, play to their strengths. And now it's just a matter of execution for the next 3 to 5 games. Shannon doing the ever popular urethane to reactive for the spares. So how about that?
And I talked to Rob, excuse me, during the first match. Of course, by the way, if you're just joining us, this is the second match of this session. And we'll get into some of the full items of why we are where we are, as Richard starts out firing there with a double, but Pluhowsky starting with urethane. Rob said she was going to kind of have the same game plan, at least to start, very similar to what she did last year here at the Tour Championship. Of course, that was very successful, got her all the way to the semifinals on CBS Sports Network. But a new player to take a look at, obviously, here in the Tour Championship, making her debut is Jordan Richard.
He's on the heels of 4 consecutive championship round appearances. 5 overall in the season, 1 title in Harrisburg. And as you mentioned, ROY.
Locked up the award officially at the
PWBA Players Championship.
I thought so. It's been a long day.
That's okay. Because when we did on the road yesterday, this match was starting around 6-ish or so.
That's true.
So we're pretty close.
Speaking of that, the schedule, of course, by now, if you're unfamiliar, has been certainly altered. It all started about 2 minutes into practice this afternoon into the first match. Or excuse me, right before practice, I beg your pardon. Right before practice was about to begin, as Shannon got that one in and paid the price here in game number 1, frame 3. So a little roof leakage delayed matches 1 and 2, and to rearrange the schedule, they were pushed back to 3 p.m. With staff from the raceway here, Richmond Raceway, came in, did what they did, and we were off and running at 3 p.m. Kelly Kulik and Josie Barnes, along with Liz Colkin and Lindsay Boomershine. Kulik and Colkin advanced in their respective matches, 3 games to 2 each. We were all ready for the 6 o'clock matches, which theoretically are these. We just saw Missy and Bryanna Coté, but a combination of weather, tons of rain, a power outage, and everything in between. So Coté and Parkin just wrapped up, I guess at this point about a half hour ago, maybe 40 minutes or so, something like that. Missy Parkin advanced in 5 games as well. And now here we are, Jordan Richard Pluhowsky bowling on 3 and 4, as Missy and Bryanna did as well. There was a re-oil, which many of you saw. And so tomorrow we'll be here at 9 a.m. Nice spare. That is not easy to do.
Very, very impressive. So what you're saying is we just get to have more time on Bull TV tomorrow. So it's Tuesday. You know, you're already back at work. You know, you can wait till noon. It's already lunchtime. Or, you know, we're going to get going at 9 a.m. You know, you can skip a few of those early meetings.
Wow.
Body language said might have got away with that one a little bit. So that's a good sign early here for Jordan.
And there you see just some of the attributes of the Rookie of the Year. Being able to, quite frankly, do some things that some other players can't. You know, getting that ball back from, that's probably a washout for some others. Instead, it's the strike in the 4th, and she has got 3 out of 4 to start game 1.
Impressive. 22-year-old from Arkansas State University, collegiate standout, player of the year. Starts off by telling her Team USA teammate and soon to be PAPCON teammate in just a couple of days after this that not here to mess around. Shan's first strike. Close in the first and the second frame as well. Just trying to get the ball to lay off at the right spot. Definitely a smaller margin of error here for Shannon using urethane, but once again in this situation with best of 5, not necessarily total pinfall. If there's a little strategy involved, a little, you know, looking a little bit further ahead perhaps. Try to get to where you want to get to. You know, you can grind out that first game. Talked to Kelly Kulick a little bit, and that was kind of her game plan against Josie Barnes. She didn't want to get too far left and create some hold for Josie, so she kind of played out with her the first game, and when she saw Josie start to move left, that's when Kelly knew, hey, she's moving to my wheelhouse now. I'm going to stay further left and just make the right moves from there, and then, of course, she had the big final game, 256, to advance in Game 5.
Well, 5 out of 6 for Richard. And off to a fast start. This is best of 5. That's the format. Well, first to 3 wins. And so, essentially, one game is one game no matter how it plays out. So adjustments, of course, need to be quick. We've seen some matches, actually every match here today has gone all 5 games.
That's tough.
Yeah. That's Jay Rich.
It was one of those things coming into the season. Obviously, we've gotten the opportunity to see her in a few collegiate events coming in and some Team USA trials, and definitely excited to see her move on to the next level. It was never was a question of the talent; it was just a matter of kind of when she would find it and find out how to win, and she did that in 4 events. So you don't say the sky's the limit very often, but I think in this situation, possibilities could be endless down the road.
Yeah, without question. Spare there for Pluhowsky. Shannon trying to get comfortable here in game 1. Again, the experience level certainly in Shannon's corner in this sense, even at this event. The plant 10 back.
Her best shot of the match so far.
That's the thing, to kind of watch out for. Obviously, it's where we are in game 2. About this point, what transition will Jordan see? Same thing, obviously, with Shannon, but it's just those respective players, obviously, on their sides of the lane in this match. And just like that, 2-4, 8-10.
And that seemed to be a come and leave last match. Missy Parkin and Bryanna Coté. That was the oh no shot with the oh no leave.
All right, Richard looking for count here. Spare row GP, just icing. She'll take the count, open frame in the 8th.
Still in great shape here, just needs 2 marks, obviously seals it up. Shannon a max score of 214 with the back 5.
Solid shot there from Jordan. And a 10 pin, but Shannon with 214 max. Nothing is a gimme. We've seen that certainly today, especially with spare shooting and the surface. No spares are automatics. You've got to go through the full process. That one's all good. But the focus level on the second shot already proven to be very important here at the Tour Championship through 3 matches.
Would you say you have to trust the process?
100%.
Joel Embiid style?
You got to double it. Definitely got to trust the process. Pluhowsky.
Great shot there.
In all honesty, if you give Shannon really any kind of look, any kind of look, she's never out of it. So this could very well go 5 games.
Oh, it would almost seem fitting after the exciting day we've had here at the Old Dominion building, with Mother Nature getting a little tricky with us. Definitely would enjoy to watch that unfold, though.
First shot, 10th frame. Just a little left 3 pin for Shannon Pluhowsky, and Jordan Richard is going to take game 1. Just needs pins in the 10th frame.
See if see some folks in the chat talking about potentially seeing her get out of urethane and get into a reactive ball. Let's see if she gives something else a look here. She will give reactive a look. And for good measure.
All right, 193.
So Jordan just needs to keep it on the lane here, stay behind the foul line. That's going to be enough to take the 1-0 victory, but I'd say business is picked up here, though. Things are developing.
Three 6-10 there for Richard. And she's going to try a different ball as well here on the fill. Strike to get to 220. Already has game 1. Officially 218 to 193. Game 1 is in the books. We'll be off and running momentarily. See what Shannon elects to stay with here.
Goes back to urethane. It almost seemed a little bit tighter angle there. Gets it to hold line. 10 back for an early strike. Jordan goes back to the ball she used for majority here of game number 1. Second flat 10.
The back half of game 1, we started to see leaves like this for Jordan, even a 3-6-10. Bryanna was in the 10th frame, but much different obviously than the first 6 frames. She had the first 5 out of 6. For Richard, just 9 events total. This is her 10th event of the season, but she bowled 9 events basically in the regular season. Missed the first 3. As part of that including graduation from Arkansas State, of course, along with her sister Haley. Haley also was out for several events on tour this year. Still, of course, taking care of Rookie of the Year. And, for missing 3 events to be the 6th seed, great shot there. And their seeding is coming from where they finished in the points list. So, 6th in points in just 9 events.
Definitely something to consider, and a great point, and, technically what if for the season. However, player migrate talking point to start off the 2019 season is how this young player has quickly vaulted herself to be in that conversation. Shannon happy just to see the 10 pin there.
Shannon good question in the chat. Missy Parkin did win our earlier match. She defeated Bryanna Coté 3-2. And she will face Liz Culkin in round number 2 tomorrow. Early round 2 matches. And again, specifically speaking, just round 2 will be Liz Johnson and Kelly Kulick.
Ho ho.
That's one everyone probably looking forward to, along with Liz Culkin and Missy Parkin, and that's one I'm looking forward to as well. Especially, you know, 2 players that got 2 huge wins today. Again, each match going to 5 games. Gary hasn't been the best on corners so far from what we've seen here today. But in regards to finishing up the schedule, at 9 a.m. we will have the rest of round 1. So we'll complete round 1 of the bracket at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. That is Tuesday. We'll have Rocio Restrepo and Maria Jose Rodriguez in one match, and then the other will feature Erin McCarthy and Diana Zavyalova. All at 9 a.m. Eastern, and then round 2 will begin as it's supposed to at noon. All right, Jordan gets some carry. Very similar situation earlier to what we saw in game 1. 9-spare double for Jay Rich. Shannon clean through 3 frames. A good combo in the chat about looks like some of the best left-handers of all time. I think for Shannon, obviously, just in regards to that conversation, still much to be determined. She's got plenty left, and you know, still riding with a lot of ink in the pen, if you will.
Oh. Ring 10 from Richard there. Of course, Pluhowsky spent half of her life on Team USA, so 18 years on the adult team.
So ultimately, where she falls in the balls of history is unwritten, but she's already made her case, if you will. And then, unfortunately, if we're you know, when you talk about the comparisons, she was without obviously a tour for a very long time.
Very true. I believe when she finished up at Nebraska, that was 2004, 2005-ish. So essentially, it could have been almost a full decade on tour. Of course, did claim the Queens during that time. Oh my goodness, Emil.
Yeah.
Oh. Emil, be right. Be right. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and even though it's not an 8-pin, it is obviously the lefty 9-pin. It's the same in that regard.
That one hurt me. I know how you get about them, but just, oh. I don't remember what we were talking about now. That just completely threw me off.
Kind of just wrapping up Shannon in regards to where she'll be all time once it's all said and done in regards to lefties. Tin back there. Shannon's so good at, you know, remaining in the match. Really, you know. The shots 9-spare, 9-spare, obviously 9-pin, back at it. And the strike in the 10th, and really, you know, letting Jordan know, okay, it's early. I'm here. These two players, of course, on the same represent the same brand, so know each other's games very well. Good shot there from Richard. Jordan's parents are here, I believe. Family here for Shannon as well. Tour Championship does certainly, as every event does in regards to just kind of bringing out the family, having an opportunity not only enjoy the Tour Championship, but you know, some of the perks of being able to qualify for this event is the NASCAR races that are associated with it. Those will take place on Friday and Saturday just next door at the racetrack, including the Go Bowling 250. A shot there from Richard. That's a double.
Big 6th and 7th frame coming up here for Shannon.
I agree. I do say, I do believe this is a important game for Shannon. Push. It does.
No 9-pin there.
Obviously, Jordan's got a pretty solid look. Not a player, you know, no matter what. And we just talked about how Shannon, you know, this thing could go 5. But at the same token, don't really want to go down 2-0.
No, not at all.
To Jordan, and she's got a good look.
We did see that one match. The Lindsey Boomershine was Culkin. Culkin went up 2-0, and then Lindsey was able to fight back, even it up. Culkin took the deciding game. Stare it down, Shannon. Stare it down. That's right. Don't even think about 9-pin.
Good question, Joe, and everyone in the chat has answered for you. So thanks, everybody.
Resounding yeses.
Appreciate all of this viewership. Thanks for your patience today, folks. A lot to deal with today, but you've hung out with us. Walk it off, Jordan. Take back for Jay Rich. Get ourselves a game here.
Max scores at the moment: Jordan Richard 269, Shannon Pluhowsky 258. 8th frame coming up. And we'd be tied up if it wasn't for that 9-pin for Pluhowsky in the 4th.
Looking for 4 in a row. Slaps the 10.
Now this is fun.
This is fun.
It's a little bit later than we planned, but that's all right. It's a great way to conclude an awesome, long but awesome day here on Bowl TV. Tour champ, last season of the event. 2 of our premier players going shot for shot. That needs to lay off. 2-4-7-8.
When she let it go. See, not the easiest of spares to begin with. And on this surface, we've talked about spares and the type of role they'll play, or they have played already. Wow.
That was...
I'm not sure Shannon thought she was going to make that the way it was looking, but she'll take it.
She's so end over end. It almost looked like that backed up a little bit, but did all the right things, though, to cover the spare.
Sindel is not here this week. Bachdell and Carolyn hosting the Ballot versus the Big C event in the DFW area. 6-pin for Shannon, raising money for cancer awareness. So hello to the Ballots.
So 223 max score for Shannon now. A few spares for Jordan will be place her in the 230s. So once again, situation just needs to stay clean here in the 9th and the 10th. Take the early 2-0 lead. Yeah, that's good.
Well, maybe Jordan watched On the Road yesterday, and
She didn't like what you said. Fair enough.
we talked about the future. We talk about the future a lot on tour. And 22-year-old Rookie of the Year, showing you exactly what, not only what the future is about, but the present.
Count right here will be enough. That's more than count. Jordan Richard, 2-0. For the folks wondering, it is a pretty intimate crowd here at the moment, obviously with the storm situation here in Richmond. Probably deterring a few folks from making it out. Obviously safety first. So got a few dedicated fans in the stands though.
Looks like she's going to try a different ball. Same results. The thing about today is I think if you've been to a baseball game as a fan or spectator and you've been involved in a rain delay, you kind of know what those feel like. There's a little bit of uncertainty, obviously, depending on what's happening with the weather and when play would resume. But 10 pin on the field, 268 for Jordan Richard. Special shout out to Shanice.
Yeah, Shanice.
The wrong last name on the username. Just throwing that out there. Shannon strike, first shot in the fill. But in regards to the rain delay, and I've worked in minor league baseball, interned years back, and just kind of watching how the staff approaches rain delays and watching the weather report, and in a baseball perspective, you got the grounds crew ready. Nice shot there from Shannon again, and making the change to reactive there as well. And it's it was to me it was very similar to what we've experienced today. And I could be off base, but just based on my experience, there was some level of uncertainty. I had to figure some things out. Wasn't sure what was going to happen. The weather didn't look good. Are we going to play? Are we not going to play? Are we going to play 2 tomorrow? Those kinds of things.
And that's a fair point. I mean, these players, knew early that, okay, we're going to be pushed back 3 hours. We're going to be at 6. So, make the proper plans. You have your process to get ready, and I'm sure they, evaluated the situation, and then they're out here almost ready to go, and we have more issues, and then the power goes out, and then so they've been extremely patient and waiting for this moment. So you could definitely can imagine some anxiousness. But I think that's, you know, laying out that situation, I would think you give the advantage to the experienced player in that situation. For Jordan making her first appearance, you think she, you know, be potentially a little anxious, don't want to say get ahead of yourself, but, you know, just start thinking ahead, come on, let's go, let's do this, and then she's showed the poise of the utmost veterans out here through 2 games.
Reactive for Pluhowsky. Gotta have it. That's 1. So first things first, 1 game at a time, 1 shot at a time here for Shannon. On the road to trying to even this match. 1 game at a time. Jason Bourne with, outside of completing bowling for the day, the 2nd best news I've heard.
Jason, I hope you're not pulling our leg right now, because that would just be downright mean. Can't do that to us.
Bears are on the board. Pluhowsky looking for 2. She's on the board with a double.
She Khalil Macked that 7-pin.
Talked about that, you know, the experience factor, and you know how an inexperienced player could handle that type of adversity and the waiting and the uncertainty. As really the first sign of since game 1. I believe Jordan left a 2-4-8-10, 2-8-10 here, but Jordan's gonna bowl fearless, really, and no pun intended, obviously. That's our hashtag on tour, but she has been fearless since stepping out on tour. And with the exception of the Queens, where she qualified in the top 10, but lost both of her matches and had the early exit, she's been in contention weekly.
So as you mentioned, this is the first sign of adversity. Granted, very early here in game number 3. Let's see the bounce back.
Unsure on the current equipment choices. Both players are familiar with what they're currently throwing. We do know, obviously, Shannon was throwing urethane earlier. That looks good.
It was good.
Saw it all the way through. First strike in this game for Jay Rich. One of our colleagues, good friends back at the office, great fan of Shannon Pluhowsky. She steps off that one, gets him hold, and nothing on the 8, but she'll take that. Could have been a lot worse. Anna Reed rooting on her favorite player, Shannon Pluhowsky. Look out. All right.
They're hooking, remember?
Indeed they are.
Great shot there in the 4th. Can't get the 7 to fall out this time. No problem on the 7, stays clean through 4. Last shot on lane 4 from Jordan Richard. Got right, did not make it back. Left the 2-8-10.
Had a different camera set up, but I haven't really got a chance to use it, so look out for kind of a low level view of Jordan Richard's bowling ball going down the lane.
Well, that was nice.
Wasn't it?
That
I
was.
waited all day to use that.
You certainly had all day to set it up. So
We did. We did it, and still really didn't get a chance. And the other thing actually was every time I'd get it set, someone would put something in the camera's view, and then once you get into the match, you can't really sometimes leave and do things and get things out of the way. Shout out to our Chris P. Appreciate that compliment, Chris. You guys know I tend to do or try to incorporate various sports into kind of what we see and do, and give some level of comparison. And despite the 2-8-10, the 2-4-8-10, that right there to me scares me the most.
that shot was in a touch. But that's the it's a big time prize here, middle of game 3. Essentially could have brought it back to even with one more.
First sign of real trouble here for Richard. Of course, Shannon left-handed. Obviously, you'll see a little different. Probably see more maybe of her trail leg on this view. That's a good shot, a good angle, and a 2-7. Well, Scott Madden putting it out there.
Oh.
Really?
Wow.
Should have went to the other view on that one.
If only we knew.
That looked like a spare.
Thinking back to that 2-4-7-8. Seemed to sneak a little bit more to the left right at the end of the... to reach the pins. 15-pin lead though. Seven pin and being problematic on lane 3.
Russell, appreciate you tuning in. Take care, have a good night, get some rest. We're going to try to do that. So when this match concludes, we'll be back at it very early. A little earlier than we anticipated, certainly for tomorrow. But this is what we do. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. Appreciate you listening and watching, tuning in. All right, Richard back up lane 4. That 10 out.
I just see the gears going in your head right now. How you're gonna make that happen every event now?
This camera angle?
Yeah.
I am enjoying it.
You've created a monster.
Well, you know me. I'm like the gadget guy, but not like all the way. But in this scenario, what we do here, I'm always trying to figure out ways to make it as best as it can be. But we have a different amount of space, if you will, here, the old Dominion building. So big double coming up. Put it down.
Looks like she might have creeped a little bit more left with her feet there. It was about the same point at the arrows, but obviously that ball found a little bit more push. Then the 3, 6, 7, 10. Last time up on lane 3. Cuts the deficit to 5 pins. Takes care of the spare, but definitely in trouble here. Made the change. To reactive to start this game, and early double has not struck since. Seven pins the last 2 times here up on lane 3. Big shot here. Gonna be back here for the 10th. That comes in light.
Well, at this rate, Shannon's going to need some help from Jordan. She's had a couple splits this game. And by the way, folks, because I'm such a nice person, and we're not always able to do it, but Brian O'Keefe was nice enough to tell us what bowling balls these players are throwing. Represented the same company via Hammer here, one of our mini ball manufacturer and apparel representatives, or excuse me, manufacturers on the PWBA Tour. Jordan is throwing a diesel. Shannon actually throwing a diesel torque. Here is Richard. You know we're going to the lane level.
To take the lead. It's got to push. Oh. Alright, that did more than push. I made that move on that lane as well. With the spare 2-pin match heading into the 9th. So for Shannon, she'll have a chance to step up here 9th and 10th. Hasn't struck since the 2nd frame, but she can find a way, put together a few strikes, can force game 4.
Jay Rich taking her time here. Supposed to gather herself, the thoughts, remove them. Bryanna stepping on the approach. Big shot coming up. Bang!
There it is.
You were waiting for that?
I was waiting for. I wanted to get one in here while I was on the broadcast today.
You know, it's all about the moment. We talked about this.
We have.
You gotta feel it out. Now Pluhowsky. It's still up by 2, but it's in her court. That's gotta push.
Oh, wow.
Goodness gracious. Wow.
You said it had to push and high flush, but upper deck 10. Wow.
With the spare, best she can do is shoot 200. And that's with 3 in the 10th. Mercy.
Some understandable frustration there. Gonna have a short memory here, though.
Short memory indeed. Really needs all 3 in the 10th here. Help. So I just kind of hit the lane maybe a little bit early.
So now Jordan in the position just to match, or needs to match in the 10th too. Seal up the win and move on to Tuesday.
Yeah, unfortunately for that, in that situation, obviously on the spare, the count. If she gets 9 there, then potentially possibility of a tie, but that extends the match. Big spare. Jordan Richard up 2-0 on the left side of your screen. Does your thing, turns her back on it, buries the rack.
19 pins.
Wow. I mean, you can't help but be disgusted with that. What a great shot in the 9th frame. And it's all up to Jay Rich, staying out of trouble, and she's moving on. To move on, there it is. So the final match of the day. Our first sweep here at the PWBA Tour Championship. Richard. Got some late daggers. But the real dagger in this match, at least this game, certainly a 10-pin. By Pluhowsky in the 9th frame. Obviously would have had to do some work in the 10th, but nonetheless, Jordan Richard performing like a veteran and taking the opportunities when they're given to him. She earned this match, I'll tell you that. She came out ready to play. It's unfortunate the situation. Final score 209-187. They did have to wait quite a while, obviously, to get on the lanes. And so you certainly hate it to just end. So the Rookie of the Year is moving on to tomorrow. she will face the winner of the Rocio Restrepo Maria Jose Rodriguez match. Speaking of that match, it'll be the first match along with match number 6, Erin McCarthy and Diana Zavyalova at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Again, 9 a.m. Eastern. That's actually when we will begin on Tuesday morning. So, folks, it's been an eventful day. We have managed to be cool and stay safe and all of the above. If you know anyone in this area and they want to just maybe send them a text, ring their phone just to make sure all is well. There's been some severe weather, obviously, in this area. We've talked about it. And so we've gotten bowling through for the day. We are going to go home now. Again, Jordan Richard moves on. She defeats Shannon Pluhowsky 3-0. So your winners today, Kelly Kulick, Liz Culkin, Missy Parkin, and Jordan Richard. All winners moving on in the PWBA Tour Championship. So until tomorrow, I want to thank all of our guests today, Stephanie Johnson, Danielle McEwen, Rob Gottschall, and if I missed anybody, I don't think I did. Or, Steph, Danielle, Rob. And so for everyone here, big thanks to everyone at the track, Brent, everyone on staff here at Richmond Raceway for all of their great work, help, and fast and quick service. Big thanks to Neil Milligan, Jason Thomas, Greg Moore, Justin Wyman, everyone here on our staff. For Aaron Smith, my name is Emil Williams Jr. We'll see you tomorrow morning, folks, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll finish off round number 1. Until then, be safe. Have a great evening. This has been a presentation of the 2018 PWBA Tour Championship. You watched it live on Bowl TV. Good night.